Hello. Can somebody confirm that? Am I audible? Hello. Hey guys, can somebody confirm me that? Am I audible? Is my screen and audio visible? And I'm really sorry for the delay. Okay. 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 Thank you so much and welcome back again. It was like a quite long weekend. We celebrated 70, 75th Independence Day. Okay, I guess you enjoyed the weekend and it's time back for coding. Okay, I'm really sorry about the delay and I went into some technical glitch. I don't understand why it happened, but anyways, I'm really sorry about that. So let's start. I guess I have given you some of the assignment. I'm quite sure that you all have completed those assignments, correct? Hmm. I guess you went through those problems. Those were pretty easy problems, not much tough. Those were very basic questions. So, but today's agenda is not those questions. We'll discuss those problems sometimes later, not today. So let us quickly revise things that we have covered so far and then we'll start with today's class. Okay. So let us quickly revise all those things and we'll start with today's class. So let me just quickly summarize the things that we studied so far in just 2 minutes and then we'll go on. So we started with Java, like we started why Java, why should we should learn about Java, what were its features and what were the career objectives, and then we moved on to we also studied about number of editions of Java, and then we moved on to identifier, like how to name some of the identifier, what were the rules for it, like and we also studied about that it's case sensitive things and we cannot use it for my screen visible to you quickly. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience to you. Can somebody confirm that? Let me also check. Mhm. Hello, can somebody confirm that? I'm still audible? Hello? Hey, hey. Okay, okay. Cool. Okay, so let us start then. Okay, cool. Thank you, Rajneesh, for the reply. Okay, I'm really sorry, man. There's something wrong with on my side with the internet. Sometimes it happens when the weather is not good. Really sorry for that inconvenience. So let us start again. So what we were discussing that we were just going through the things that we covered before the long weekend, isn't it? So we started with Java. We saw the features. We also studied about the type of identifiers and no, not about the types of identifiers, but what were the rules to name it. Okay, and we then we moved on to reserved keywords, and then we studied about couple of keywords like and the data types. Then we moved on to flow control, and then so this was all about the things that we studied about typecasting, operators, increment, decrement, and then we studied this flow control, and we studied about do while, for loop. So this was the basic thing. And one more thing I'll teach you today is about arrays. Arrays is a very important thing. So let me just tell you one thing, like uh, this will be the last fundamental class. Okay, so arrays will be the last fundamental thing that we will be studying. After this class, there were two more classes left. In that particular class, everything related to OOPS will be taught, and those two classes will be of 1.5 hours. That will happen most probably on Friday and Saturday combined. We'll release one more poster. So today's class objective is to study about the arrays. So let us start with the arrays. Okay. Okay. So let me go to my console. Okay. And let me write something to teach you. Okay. So let us say that I want to store some numbers. I want to store some group of roll numbers. Okay. So let us say my name is Ashok. My roll number is 84. And let me remember some of the people from my class. So let us say Rajneesh is in this class. Okay. And his roll number is 94. Now let us say his roll number is 85. Correct. And let us say who else are in the class. Mahesh is in the class. And his roll number is 86. Okay. So this was the thing. And let me pick some more people. Let us say let me put here name of Surya. Surya is also in class and his roll number is 87. Correct. So let me take one more name. Let me take Abhishek. His roll number is 88. Now let us suppose I want to store the roll number of all these people. So what you will do? The first approach is like what I will do is int roll and I'll put here Ashok. Correct. And then I'll put here int roll and I'll put here Rajneesh. Correct. And then I'll assign it to 84. And let us say Rajneesh is 85. If you see all those things, like the same way I'll continue for rest of them. Correct. So, so just see that if you have to store all these numbers, you're picking up one variable for each. But if you observe it very carefully, these all have some common thing in them. What is that? They have got the same data type. Correct. And ultimately, what we are trying to do, we are trying to store a group of roll numbers. Observe the things. We got two observations. What were those? The first observation is that they all are integers. Correct. This is also my integer. This is also my integer, integer, and integer. Correct. And they all share a common thing that these are certain groups. These are some group of things. What is it? These are group of roll numbers. So this is where the requirement of arrays come into play. Into play. So why I'm saying that? So let us first see the definition and then you will understand that. Why I'm saying that. This leads to the requirement of array. So what was the problem here? We were trying to store some group of things, but here we are using some discrete variables for each one of them. And what is the common thing? They all belongs to same group of things and they have the same data type. So let us quickly understand the definition, and this is from where our class begins. So what is an array? So array is an indexed collection of fixed number of homogeneous data element. Focus on things. What is it? Indexed collection and then homogeneous data element. So let us focus on these two things and then we'll understand the definition of array. So what it says is indexed collection. Indexed collection means, so these are all in certain fashion in which we have some indexes. Okay, so this is like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the next thing is what? These are homogeneous. Homogeneous means something that is all same, like they all share same properties. So what was the common thing in our example? They all were integers. Okay. And what these integers are? What were these group of integers were? Those were the roll numbers. So all the roll numbers were of the data type integer. So that is why they are of homogeneous data element. And these are indexed collection. Index collection, if you remember your class, how are the names sorted? They are all in ascending order, correct? We have like this. So if this would have been class, so here is Abhishek, correct? And his roll number is 80, let us say 86, and here is Ashok and his roll number is 87. And then we have some more people, let us say Mahesh, and his roll number is 88, correct? And then we have Rajneesh, whose roll number is 89. If you see that these all are indexed collection, right? This is an index, correct? 1, 2, 3, 4. So these were all are my index, and these all are corresponding roll numbers according to it. So, so this is what an array is. What is an array? So array is an indexed collection of fixed number of homogeneous elements. Remember the example of class where you have fixed number of students. In class, we always have fixed number of students. It cannot be a variable. So just remember the example of class whenever you want to remember an array. You remember the school class register. There in register, we have indexes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there we store something like name, roll number, and all these things. So this is what an array is. We have some indexes, and here we store some of the values 84, 85, 86, 87, 88. Okay, and these all are in continuous fashion, and these all things are homogeneous, means they all are of the same data type. For example, if I want to store a group of characters, like let us say male, female, correct? For let us say these are all my roll numbers, and corresponding to it, which we have is their gender. And if you index it, this is like 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is also an example of an array. Okay. So this is what an array is. Array is an index collection of homogeneous elements, and the number of all these elements are fixed. And this is not variable. Like you have fixed number of elements in that particular homogeneous collection. So what is the advantage? Why do we need it? So the advantage is that we can represent multiple values so that the readability is improved. What I'm saying is, let us say somebody asks you that give me the list of all the roll numbers in your class. So what you would do? One way is that you declare a variable for each one of them. Other one could be that you declare one variable in such a manner that it stores all the roll numbers, correct? So what it does is it improves your readability. You don't have to store individual values of the roll number for each one of the student. Here in single collection, you are pointing to all the roll numbers that are present there. So this is the advantage. We'll see all these things in code, like we'll learn about it. Right now I'm going through the theory. The next, so what is the disadvantage of this array? The disadvantage is that this has got fixed in size. Fixed in size, which means that if you want to declare that particular array, you have to declare its size beforehand. Means let us say I want to store a group of roll numbers in an index fashion 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have to declare its size beforehand before declaring it. Like I want 10 roll numbers to be stored, and those are of the type integer. So you have to declare these things beforehand. Means you need to know what is that collection size of those homogeneous elements that you are going to store, else you cannot use it. This is not. So we have provision in Java to tackle this using collection. Like we have collection framework, that's an entire complete module. If time permits, we might have some workshop on that too. But as of now, let us learn about that disadvantage, that you need to know the size beforehand, and this could be resolved using collection. So let us go to our coding thing and let us learn about how to declare an array, and let us get our hand dirty with it. Okay, so we'll continue with the same example of the roll number. So let me just comment this out. And let me just increase a bit size, I guess, so that you can see it clearly. Editor, how to zoom in, and one more zoom in, so that you can see those things clearly. Okay. So what we need to do is, let us declare let us declare an array to store roll numbers. Let us see how do we declare it. So first thing is that this is of homogeneous, right, nature. So first thing we need to think is about the data type. What sort of data are we going to store? So what is the data type of roll number? So roll number is going to be integer, correct? This is for sure. So what I will do is I will write, you know that in Java, if you have to declare the any variable, we need to specify its data type. So first thing what we'll write here is int, which denotes that this is of integer type. And then we will put this square bracket. So this square bracket signifies that here we are going to use a collection of integer data type. So here we are going to store some homogeneous data type, that is integer, and this square bracket symbolizes that it is going to be an array. This is here, this is not a single value. It is going to be a number of values. So I will write here roll array. Okay, so this is how we declare it. So this was the declaration of this variable. Now the next thing what we are discussing is we need to know the size, correct? Here we have specified that roll array is going to store some number of integers, right? It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or I don't know the size, but you have to give the size. So let us go to the next phase, like how to give it size. To specify the size, what we need to do is you need to put here new, and then again you need to write the data type, put that square bracket, and here you need to specify the size. So let us say I'll put here 5 as size. Okay, so this is how we declare an array. So I'll again disintegrate things to explain you how do we write it. So first thing we do is we write the data type. What is the data type? And then we write the identifier name. So let us put here variable name. Here we write the variable name. Then again we put equal to. Then we write the new keyword. If you remember that there are some reserved keywords in Java, new is one of those keywords. Then we put here new. Again we put the data type. And then again we put the bracket here. And then we put the size. So this is the syntax to declare an array. So this is how we declare the array. Now let us focus on how does this array looks into memory. We said that this is an index collection, correct? So how this looks into memory, and how do we access it, and how do we put values into this array? So whenever you declare int roll array is equal to new int 5, what happens is this roll array, oh wait, let me write it. Okay. So if you write it like this, what happens is this roll array will point to something like this. This is like a diagrammatic representation of something of size 5, right? 4. So it will point to something like this. So see here, these all are the indexes. So it will create 5, this will occupy 5, this sort of memory. Like what was the size of this integer? 16 bits, correct? 16 bits was the size? No, 32 bits was the size, 32 bits. So it will occupy 32 bit, 32 bit, 32 bit, 32 bit, 32 bit continuously in your RAM. Okay, and it will specify this particular block, this particular block, this particular block, and all these blocks will share continuous memory allocation. These all are like if we have a huge memory table, so and these are all the smallest block. So all these 5 blocks are going to get this contiguous allocation of the memory. Okay, so this was the thing. This is how it looks into memory. So if I want to access this particular block, and I want to store some value here, what you have to do is just write this name. Just write this variable name, role array, and put the index number 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is zero based indexing. So the first one which we are pointing at has got index as 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So if you want to access this particular, you need to write this variable name and put the index number here. So if role array of 0 points here, if I write again role array of 4, so this will point at to the last block. So what are the things that you need to remember? The first thing that you need to remember is this is zero based indexing. What it is? Zero based indexing. Zero based indexing means that the okay, zero based indexing. So zero based indexing means the first index will start with 0. Okay. And then if you want to access any of the index, how do we access it? We write the name of the variable. What do we write here? Variable underscore. Yes, Rajnish, you are correct. Variable name, and then we write the index value. Okay. So now, since you got through the memory representation, everything, let us allocate some value to this role array. So what I will do is just see. I will put here role array and I'll put here 0. And then I'll assign some value. Let us say I assign it 84. And similarly, I'll assign values for rest of the indexes. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And let me allow these values to be 85, 86, 87, 88. Okay. So how does this looks into memory? Let us see. If I write something like this, how this is going to look into my memory. So since we have declared role array, so how this is going to look like into my memory? This will look like this. Role array is equal to zero, 1, 2, 3, 4. Correct. And since we have assigned array of 0 here, so this will have 84, 85, 86, 87, and 88. Correct. So I'll justify this. So let me just print something so that this is justified. So I write here as last value is. So what should be our last value? Role of array at which place? Fourth place. Correct. So let us see whether I get the last value is 88. Isn't it? So did you get that how this looks into memory? How do we access it? And how do we assign it to value? Assigning is very simple like any other variable. Just you have to point at to that particular index. So I'll give, so let me give you one more example. What we will do is we'll try to store, let us say first n even numbers. What we'll do is let us store first n even numbers. And let us see that using array, and again we'll try to print it. So int first 5, or let us say first first what 10, first 10 even number. Okay, so what is this? This is going to our array. So I'll write here int first event and let us specify the memory to it. So how do we specify memory? We put here new, and then we again write the data type, and then again we put the 10 here. Okay, so this is it, correct? So let me we'll do all these operations now using the for loop. So for int I is equal to 0 to I less than equal to 20, I plus plus. We are iterating in a loop from 1 to 20. I have taught you about the loops, that how it works. So we are currently traversing from I is equal to 0 to 20, right? And what we will do is, if what? If I is even, correct? If I modulo 2 is modulo 2. Modulo means if you divide something by that this number to this number, what is the remainder? So if I divide anything by 2 and if I get remainder as 0, which means this is an even number. So what I will do is, what I should do? Let me take one more variable here. That will be my like count. Int count is equal to 0. And then first 10 even number of count is equal to what? I. This is how we store it. And then we will do count plus plus. And let me print all these numbers. For int I equal to 0, I less than the size, I plus plus, and 10. First 10 numbers. Let me print I. So let us run this program now. Okay, what's wrong? What's wrong with it? So I didn't work. Printed 0. Why? So what's wrong with the program? Why didn't it work? For int I equal to 0, I less than 20, I plus plus. If I modulo 2 equal to 0, okay, so this is fine. So what's wrong with the program? What's wrong with it? Why is it always saying, why is it not? Aha, I have declared it as like here. Int count equal to 0. Now this will work. Now if you see the observe, okay. So what we are trying to do is, we are trying to print the first 10 even numbers. Okay. And we have stored it in this array. I'll show you how we have done it. Let us understand the flow of this code, like what we have written here and how this is working. So here we are taking one count variable that is equal to 0, and we are traversing it from 1 to 20, because we'll get all the even numbers from 0 to 18, right? The first 10 even numbers, that is 0 to, that is find between 0 to 19, correct? 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So we are checking that if it is even, we are storing it. And where we are storing it? In this array, first even number. And using for loop, if you see here, using for loop, we are traversing in this number, in this array, first even numbers, and we are printing it. See, 0, the zeroth, let me put here ith, So this is how it works. See, I have stored all the first 10 even numbers in this. So let us examine the flow of this program so that you can understand it well. So the first thing what we did here is we have initialized this variable. See this carefully. So what is its size? 10. We are trying to store the first 10 even numbers here. So just focus in this for loop. We are traversing from I is equal to 0 to 20. And we have initialized count equal to 0, which store the number of values that we have stored. Okay. So we started with, we are checking from 1 to 20. What are the even numbers? So here, if I modulo 2 equal to 0, means if we divide the I by 2 and we get remainder as 0, which means this is the even number. So in that case, what we do is we try to access the count index. So what is this count? This count stores the index at which we are. So count, so initially what is this count value? 0. And we store here the value that is I here. And then we again increase the count since we have stored already one value. So this is how it keeps on flowing. Okay. So at the end of this execution, we at every index, we get something like this. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. And at the end, if you see here, here we are trying to print all the numbers. So in place of 10, what I can do is I can also directly write here first even number dot length. So what does this length gives? This length gives me the size of this array. So we are trying to, using a for loop, we are trying to print all the values stored at its ith index. So since it is a zero based indexing, so we started at 0 and moved till 1 less than its size. So I'll explain this, how this works. So imagine what I was previously written here 10. Why? And condition is I less than 10. Why it was? Because it's a zero based indexing. So if you start at 0, the last index what it will be? It will be 9. So that is why it is written here I less than 10. So we are traversing from I is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3 till it is less than 10, which means 9. And we are able to print all those values. See here. So this is how we are accessing the ith index of this particular array. Did you get it? So can I get a thumbs up from the people who have understood it, and those who have not understood it can also ping me. Okay, so that I can explain with some other example. Quick guys. Still waiting for reply. Okay, cool. Okay. So let me just put one more thing. Let me line 156. Okay, line 56 he has not understood. Okay. Okay, don't worry. Okay, let me explain. Let me take some another example. Okay, let me take some other example. Oh no, let me go ahead with. Mhm. Let me take some another example. Okay. So let me take some another example. So let it be like this. Let me erase this. Okay. So see, this is an what is this? So here we have declared what? Declared an array of size 10, which means it is going to have 10 indexes ranging from 0 to 9. This is clear, correct? So what this will look like? This will look like something like this, which will have indexes from 0, 1, 2 till 9, correct? So what I have to do is, using a for loop, I have to assign value to all these indexes. So how I will do that? So for that, what I need? For that, I need a for loop, correct? And this variable I will actually be pointing to all its indexes. So what is the starting point of this index? Let me write here is as index. So index starts at 0 and index should be less than or equal to 9. It cannot be more than that, correct? and at every step we are going to increase the index by 1. Okay. Rajnish, in the previous example, I was traversing from 1 to 20, and at the same time I was remembering the values, like how many values we have stored. That is why I used two for loops. If you go back to video, watch it again, you will understand that. Okay, so this is what my index begins at. It will begin at 0 here, and it will be less than 9, and it will go on. So right now what I will do is just see first number. So this is my index. Okay, so what this does is, now this, for the initial loop, this will point index to its 0. So see, I'm just assigning the same value to it. Just observe it, and then again I'll print all those values using again one more for loop to make you understand. Int index equal to 0, I no sorry index less than what, first 10 numbers dot length. Length gives me its size. So what is its size? 10. So let me print it, the value. Value at ith, value at is plus first 10 numbers, and then we have index here. Okay, just see this carefully, just observe it. You'll understand this by this example only. See, what happened? No, we don't have to assign, we have to assign here. Okay, just observe it. See, so what we were trying to do is, at every index, we are trying to store the value of the index itself. Now observe it very carefully. The first time, what is the value of index? 0. So at index of this particular first 10 even number, we are storing 0. See, at index, we are storing the value of index itself. So at 1, what we are storing? 1. At 2, what we are trying to store? 2. I'll justify this. Let us say if I put here index into 2, you'll observe that all the values get automatically doubled up. See, at 0 it's 0, at 1 it's 2, then it's 4, 6, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. You see, at every index, we are trying to store 2 times its index. So this is how we are using a for loop to access all its indexes. And if you see the second loop here, the second one, we are again traversing from 0 to less than its size, and we are printing the value at each of its index. So you are getting it. So this is how we declare an array and we try to access its value. Okay. So what if I write here index less than equal to? See, at last we have got an exception. Java lang array index out of bound exception. So what does this exception say is that your size was 10, right? And what you are trying to do, you are trying to access the index that is out of the bound. So what was the permitted index for the 0 to 9? But we are trying to access index 10 that is out of bound for length 10. Because for length 10, what is the maximum number of allowed index? 9, correct? You have length 10 and you are using a 0 based indexing. So what is the maximum index? Length minus 1, that is from 0 to 9. But you are trying to access that index number 10, and that does not lies in this, the maximum index of this. So you are getting array index out of bound because you have already declared its size to be 10. Okay. So this was all about arrays. Not all about arrays. There are a lot of still undergoing concepts. But this was just the introduction to arrays. So let me teach you one more thing. I don't know how much time is left. It's already 8:30. Okay, let me teach you one more concept. That's it. We'll be done with today. Okay. Or maybe on weekend I'll schedule some more class if that is the case. If somebody wants all those case, they can ping me in the community. I'll take care of that. So this was all about one dimensional array. So remember, you cannot put the size here. This will become invalid. You cannot access things that goes out of the bound. So actually, I had to teach you multi-dimensional array, but since it's already 8:30 and I cannot extend it forward, maybe we'll continue it someday. Okay, maybe some session in community class or something like that. Okay, if have someone have any doubt, they can ping me here now. Else I'll bind off for today. I'll be open for a few minutes and then I'll bind up. Any questions? No questions? Was my class clear to you? Can someone just ping that things? Still waiting for the questions and criticism and anything that you want. Else I'll bind off. Okay then. Thank you so much. Let's call it off. Okay. Bye and have a nice day.